Final number one. Jermaine Marrow, who we talked about in the open. Greg Hextall's been terrific lately, a junior. On the wing, Trayvon Barnes, Kalen Fisher, second leading scorer for Hampton, and Akeem Mitchell. Jansen Williams, a bright prospect for the herd of Marshall. Jared West leads the team in steals. C.J. Burks averages over 17 a game. Darius George, a bright prospect at 6'7", a sophomore, and John Elmore over 2,500 points in his career. They call him Johnny Buckets here in Huntington.
No surprises this time of year, Dave. You have what you've been playing with. Hampton, over the course of the last 9 games, 8-1, has shortened up the rotation a little bit. Really only playing 6, maybe a 7th guy. These 5 guys are going to play a majority of the minutes for Marshall. Elmore and Burks, if they have to, 40 minutes out of those guys. These are the established lineups that have gotten them to this point.
Dan D'Antoni, 5th year as the head coach here at Marshall. Played on the 67 and 68 NIT teams here in Huntington. And Buck Joyner on the left, the 10th year head coach of Hampton. They are 18 and 16. Marshall comes in 21 and 14 on the year. They've both won 8 of their last 9.
And you don't get to this point without good coaching. Dan D'Antoni, Buck Joyner's had a great run of postseason appearances we'll talk about during the course of the game for the Pirates.
6 straight, 7 of the last 10. Marshall in white. Jared West controlling the point here at the outset with a white headband. And this is Elmore, the senior. Jansen Williams now off to Burks with the dreadlocks. And they whip it inside to Williams. Open 3 on the way. No good from Darius George. And the Pirates have the rebound.
Interesting first possession out of Marshall. Very patient. Now Hampton going quickly.
Hampton scores over 81 points per game. And Trayvon Barnes, their center, hits inside.
In the CIT especially, they've gotten balanced scoring. 5 guys in double figures for the Pirates.
3 of them had double-doubles in the last win at NJIT, 82-70. Marshall coming off an 83-66 win over Presbyterian here in the CIT. Kalen Fisher, not that time, and the rebound grabbed by Jansen Williams. The long lob, wow! Darius George. By George, I think he's got it.
And that's a little more what we're going to see during the course of the game. Fast pace on both sides. Lots of offense. High-powered scoring. Excellent finish. An excellent find by Elmore to find George for that alley-oop layup.
Dan D'Antoni told us before the game, you'll see more lobs from us in this game than you see from most teams all season. And Marrow off the mark, but Hampton hitting the offensive glass. Here's Burks. Whipping it inside for the jam. Jansen Williams with the elevation.
When you play Marshall, it's 3s and layups. If you don't get back in transition, you're going to give up buckets like that to Jansen Williams. Not a good sign for Hampton early on.
Marshall second in Conference USA, over 80 points per game. Fisher. No, and Williams has been a huge factor in the early going.
Defensive rebounds, run, and look to score right away in transition.
Elmore misses the 3. Hextall starting a delayed break here. Played well his last time out, 19 and 10 versus NJIT. And a foul over the back against Akeem Mitchell.
And although Hampton, Dave, does score 80 points a game, the pace is important because these 5 guys we're seeing here, as we mentioned in the open, are going to play a vast majority of those minutes. What Marshall does is wear you down over the course of the game with the pace and with the frenetic energy that they play with on offense.
It almost hurt Hampton in their last game. They had a 22-point lead that got cut down to 8. C.J. Burks on the runner.
People forget about C.J. Burks. He's done a whole lot of scoring in his career here at Marshall as well.
He's 5th all time. That 3 is good. Akeem Mitchell, a 41% three-point shooter. Hampton down 1.
And both of these wings, Hextall and Mitchell, can make perimeter shots. That lob doesn't go too well between George and Elmore. Turnover.
Barnes stayed at home. Marrow rejected by Elmore. Not in my store, you don't.
And I don't think Jermaine Marrow is going to be discouraged by missing the first one and having that one blocked. When you're a high-volume scorer and shooting decent percentages, you know you're not going to make all of them. You're not discouraged by missing one or two. You keep at it. Wear the defense down a little bit in your own right.
Marrow hits the leaner. Got some contact as well, but did not get the call.
And there's evidence. No discouragement. Good defense by West. Better offense by Jermaine Marrow.
Hampton noses in front, poked away, and Marshall will keep it. The winner of this game will host the CIT final on Thursday night at 7 o'clock here on WatchCIT.com. The other semifinal later tonight, Texas Southern at Green Bay. That's at 9 o'clock Eastern. 3 won't go for Jared West. And the long lob to Akeem Mitchell for the lay-in.
Beautiful combination there. Hextall to Mitchell. A little bit of your own medicine. Run the court. Nice catch and finish.
Offensive foul. A push-off. No, an illegal screen against the Thundering Herd.
I think the big crowd here at the Cam Henderson Center likes what they see. This is the pace we're looking for.
And the leaner won't go for Greg Hextall. Fight for the rebound. Elmore comes away with it. Elmore very creative. His three is good. John Elmore, the all-time three-point leader here at Marshall, buries it.
It's not something you can do guarding John Elmore. Give him time and space. He's going to make that shot. And when he makes one, look out.
2-on-2. Sometimes that best three-point look is in transition.
It is. And nobody watching tonight should misunderstand. He has the ultimate green light. They use the color green here at Marshall. He can shoot it anytime he wants.
Marrow is fouled on his way to the bucket.
Good offense right there by Hampton. A lot of attention to Marrow. Back door. And he's fouled.
15:05 left in this CIT semifinal matchup. Hampton and Marshall tied at 9. And we're back with more after this.
If you're a Marshall football season ticket holder, make sure you renew your tickets by Friday the 12th. That is the deadline. We're going to play 7 home games this season, including games against the Ohio Bobcats and the Cincinnati Bengals.
Are you going to throw these to Jake?
I will.
Well, guys, thanks so much. You talked about the great atmosphere, and with a 14-3 home record this year, Marshall figures to be the favorites in this evening's game. But don't tell Hampton head coach Buck Joyner that. He has said yesterday at practice when I had a chance to talk to him that, yes, Marshall does have a good home court advantage, but he said, remember, my group has been there. They're experienced. They're a veteran group. 12 of the 15 players on the Hampton roster are either juniors or seniors. And this program's been there before, guys. 6th straight postseason appearance. Now, they must deal with Burks and Elmore. Joyner knows that. He said, quote, they've got a good duo, but we do too, and I like our guys.
All right, Jake, and Marrow hits a free throw. Elmore drives, nothing doing that time, and turned away by Trayvon Barnes. Marrow also has the green light at nearly 25 points per game. You think that he would. Ball knocked out of bounds to the Herd.
Sure, he sure does. This is exciting. On one end, Elmore launching, Marrow, and one thing we saw there that's important as the game goes on, Hampton's an excellent free throw shooting team. Jermaine Marrow does not miss many free throws. Missed his first one there.
The leaner, and Burks hits.
If you forget about C.J. Burks, he can light up the scoreboard in a hurry.
C.J. Burks, the senior from Martinsburg, West Virginia, had 20 in his last game here in the CIT against Presbyterian.
Not a lot of complicated offense going on so far here, Dave. This is about players making plays. Sometimes it's not so much running offense, running plays. It's about making plays.
Second foul called against Darius George of Marshall. See if they go to the bench quickly here. Yeah, they leave him in. Marrow steps back. That's a three. That's good.
Beautiful step back three-pointer. That's a big part of today's game. If you have that move in your arsenal, hard drive, step back, got to make the shots. James Harden style.
Mike, just to follow up on what Jake was saying a moment ago, Hampton has so many veterans, 9 upperclassmen in their rotation. Granted, they've only been playing 5 or 6 lately, but largely a veteran team. Marshall playing in this tournament because they have a lot of young players. They have a lot of freshmen and sophomores that Dan D'Antoni would like to get some minutes for.
Very much true on both sides, Dave. And when you have a veteran team, you want to give these guys an opportunity to play for something, play for a championship, as evidenced by their 8-1 record over the course of the last 9 games. And on the other side for Marshall, this is something, as we mentioned, they have opportunity to build on this and move forward into the future and honor a player like John Elmore and C.J. Burks.
Burks setting up the play here. Tavion Kinsey off the bench provides instant offense for Marshall, over 10 points per game.
And if you like to play offense, Dan D'Antoni and Marshall, this is a great place for you. If you're Tavion Kinsey, come into the game ready to score some points.
Kinsey from Columbus, about 2.5 hours north. Fisher cannot connect.
And he's not on the board yet. It's going to be important for Hampton to get scoring out of Kalen Fisher.
Rondell Watson is in for Marshall. That three is good for C.J. Burks. Third team, All Conference USA.
Right
Hampton
on
with
cue.
the answer.
There's Kalen Fisher right on cue. Him and Marrow. Dave, the 7th highest, as we see Elmore with the turnover, trying to get Kinsey on that lob.
The lay-in goes, and the foul. Kalen Fisher.
And the good assist when we go back to this, because these guys, as I was mentioning, the 7th highest scoring duo in college basketball, Kalen Fisher and Jermaine Marrow, over 40 points a game between the two of them. Now that scoring has decreased a little as Mitchell and Hextall and Barnes have played a more central role here in the CIT in the last 9 games of the year. Has helped the team win, but these guys are explosive scorers and capable of lighting up the scoreboard if you don't guard them.
No doubt. Fisher completes the three-point play. And Marrow, if he goes for 23 in this game, which he normally does, would give him 2,000 for his career. The runner won't go for Rondell Watson. And Ben Stanley, a redshirt freshman from Baltimore, is in for Hampton to grab that rebound. Fisher's three. The putback for Stanley. Hampton has opened up a 7-point lead.
No one bothered telling Hampton they were going to be in a hostile environment. He's got the play. Good win over NJIT on the road in the quarterfinals, and they brought that energy to the semifinals here tonight.
Elmore showing his creativity on offense.
You mentioned the rebounding earlier too, Dave. 3 guys with double-doubles in that NJIT game. These are big bodies for Hampton. that patrol the defensive glass, are very effective, and are comfortable knowing that Marrow and Fisher are going to handle the ball and take a lot of the shots on offense. They're going to get their opportunities on the offensive glass, a jumper here and there, do their job.
Marrow settled for the deep three. Elmore creating the dish for the jam. Kinsey.
That's what people see in John Elmore when they project him off to the next level. Great shooter, great vision. A lot of attention goes to him on the drive. The creative score last time down. This time he dumps it to Kinsey with the two-hand slam. Beautiful, beautiful play both ways.
Great point. Over 5 assists per game this year. The all-time assist man at Marshall. Williams with the rejection. Marrow. No. Williams has been everywhere. Marshall ball.
I think the Fisher missed three-pointer and the Stanley offensive rebound and the 7-point lead lit a little bit of a fire under the Thundering Herd.
21-18. Marshall trailing Hampton. 10:52 left in the first half here in Huntington. We'll be back with more CIT semifinal action in a moment.
Hello everyone, my name is Jeff Barron. I'm the head baseball coach at Marshall University. Marshall baseball competes in one of the top 5 colleges in the nation. In order for us to reach this elite level, we need everybody to join our team and be a part of the Rises campaign. Last Thursday, Mike Hampton, President Gilbert, and Mayor Williams stepped up to the plate and announced an $18 to $20 million savings that will be ready in March of 2021. Now we need everybody supposed to get behind our team and join. Please contact the Big Green and join the Herd Rises campaign now.
Back with you at the Cam Henderson Center in Huntington, West Virginia. A high-scoring, exciting start here. 21-18. Hampton on top. It's the kind of pace that Dan D'Antoni likes. Former NBA assistant for the Suns, the Knicks, and the Lakers. And before that, a 30-year high school coach. A foul before the shot. They grabbed Elmore.
Wide open style both ways. He seems like to play fast, but you can see the coaching. It's coaching, strategy, diagram it up in the timeout, execution by the players. Get a nice little slice cut for Elmore going to the basket. Don't come up with a hoop there, but it's good evidence of people. When people think of Dan D'Antoni, they think freewheeling, everybody do what they want. When they need structure and coming out of the timeouts, they get good shots.
Kinsey handling for the Herd.
You can see the potential in Kinsey. When you just watch him play, you can understand the bright future.
A slam through by Mike Byers should have been offensive interference. That ball was going to go in on its own, I think.
We don't have a great angle for that. Got to trust the guys in the striped shirts sometimes, but it sure looked like he grabbed it as it was in the cylinder and flushed it home.
A strange non-call. That won't go for Lysander Bracey, who's in for the first time, a senior from Charlotte.
And Bracey, normally just a three-point specialist. He's in the game to make some perimeter jumpers. If left open, he can knock those down.
72% of his attempts this year are threes. Michael Byers, not that time, rebounded by Kalen Fisher.
I think Byers was feeling good after the tip-in.
Easy layup for Trayvon Barnes.
And Coach D'Antoni is comfortable with those guys. Maybe they don't make a ton right now, but if you're capable, he shot a bunch of threes on the course of the year. That should be a good basket. So
maybe, no goaltend called.
Maybe that's evened up now.
Hextall's three off the Barnes block. A big turnabout there. 4-point swing as Hampton goes up by 6.
So the potential goaltending call that's not called is a block shot. Many times block shots lead to transition opportunities. And Hextall, as we've talked about, him and Mitchell, those guys are capable of making 3-point shots.
Byers left wide open for 3.
As is Michael Byers, obviously.
Wow.
Sign of things to come in the future for the Thundering Herd.
Coach D'Antoni likes his shooting ability, just his 10th 3 this year. Marrow dishes inside to Barnes, who is fouled. And it's on Byers. Pardon me, they give it to Burks, and that is his second foul.
Beautiful kick-out pass. C.J. Burks, Michael Byers looked nice. Time and space, set your feet, plenty of room. I'm not sure if in the scouting report Hampton has him as a 3-point shooter, but so far tonight, 50%, 1 for 2, got a tip in. He's had an impact on the game.
Barnes is a 79% free throw shooter, and it should be noted that Hampton is one of the best free throw shooting teams like ever. They have 6 rotation players that shoot 79% or better from the line. Collectively, they shoot over 78% as a team. That's 3rd in the country.
The only guy who's missed one so far is Marrow. How about the last 9 games? 8-1, as we've mentioned. 84% as a team from the foul line. I could shoot 84%, but I'm not sure that we could put 10 guys in this crowd that could shoot 84 tonight.
Nope. Rebounded again by Barnes, who's had himself a nice game.
I always like to give myself a pat on the back at some point in time during the game, Dave, you know? It's about all I could do right now. Make standstill free throws. I'll take it.
That's a standstill 3. Too easy. Greg Hextall from deep. His second 3.
Couple of threes for Hextall. Oh, that one's contested.
Barnes got a piece.
So Barnes obviously has paid attention to Byers making the last one. Good defense by Barnes on that last possession.
Marrow hits, and Hampton has their largest lead. They're up by 10. Stunning Marshall here in the first half. 7:48 left. Time Marshall, and a technical foul.
That technical foul looks like it's going to be on Buck Joyner. Maybe we'll get an explanation, because it's difficult to understand at this point in the game why you would put yourself in position to get that technical. Hextall just made a 3. You got another turnover, and Merrill got right into the basket area. Clearly, no one around him, and made another layup to give you the 10-point lead.
Wow. They're going to try to settle Buck down. A technical has been called. We'll step aside with 7:48 left in the first half, and Hampton leading by 10. Tournament. Dave Popkin, along with former Longwood coach Mike Gillian, and Jake Griffith has something for us on the sidelines.
Guys, I was right over here at the scorer's table when that tech was called, and actually the tech was called against Marrow as Elmore at the line shooting the free throws. Not sure what was said, but clearly the magic words were said in front of the official with Hampton up by 10.
Very strange. So we just got word from the officials that The technical was called on Buck Joyner. Brent Hampton, John Campbell, Alfred Smith are the officials. Maybe Buck was standing up for his player there, but either way, it's on the coach, and Marshall down by 9 in the early going. A strange tee.
Sometimes what happens in those situations is if the player is a little bit mouthy, as Elmore launches the deep three and knocks it down, good officials will protect the players, because those also become personal fouls, and assess the technical somewhere else. In this case, maybe that's what happened. It's hard to know. Maybe we'll get a little clarification as we go through the rest of the first half here.
Ball knocked out to Hampton. By the way, with that last bucket, Elmore has 9 points. And along with his father, Gay Elmore, the former star at VMI, they become the top father-son scoring duo in NCAA history, passing the Currys.
It's amazing. And when Coach D'Antoni was talking about that before the game, I asked him, how come he didn't play John Elmore's brother more so they could have the three-way record, because Seth Curry scored a bunch of points in college too. He's like, nah, I'm staying with John, man. He's filling it up. His brother played on the team at Marshall here. Good team guy, but an unbelievable accomplishment for father and son to have a record like that. It's amazing stuff. Continue to rack them up.
Gay Elmore had over 2,400 points at VMI. Comes to a lot of these games. A lot of the Elmore family does to support John. That three is good. Tavion Kinsey trying to get the herd closer.
And another look at the future as Tavion Kinsey, only a freshman, expanding his game to the three-point line, making corner threes.
Kinsey has 5. Hextall, offensive foul. No basket.
Hextall moving a little bit on that. Momentum now back on Marshall's side. Last 7 points for the herd. See if they can ride this wave moving forward here in the last 6 minutes of the half.
Both teams off to a hot shooting start. Elmore circles around. A deep three. That's good!
So, Dave, when John Elmore makes one, maybe the free throw, but he made the three coming right out of that, you must give him more attention. He's a volume shooter, but he's also streaky, and his range goes farther and farther out. As we just saw right there, he's capable of running 3, 4, 5 of those together right in a row.
3 for 5 from deep tonight. Gives him 109 threes for the year. Marrow, pure.
Double high ball screen for Jermaine Marrow. If somebody doesn't come over off the screen with him and he has clear space, he's going to make that shot a lot as well.
Elmore is feeling it, and he pumps his fist. Marshall takes the lead.
You now have John Elmore engaged in the game. That's 3 in a row, 3 for 4. He did have a miss. This is what happens. Ride the wave. He's going to keep shooting that unless you press up and make him give the ball up.
Marrow trying to answer, and he was fouled by West. Crowd does not love that call.
It's a good call. Getting beat, reaching in from behind. Look at the time and space. He has unlimited range. You can't give him any room. And he's just made 2 in a row. Mistake on the defensive part.
Now 15 points for John Elmore. Marrow finds a shooter. Bracey off the head fake. And Williams grabs the rebound. He was fouled by Trayvon Barnes.
And as much as people like this foul on Barnes, if Williams comes up with that rebound and gives it to Elmore in transition here, John Elmore, having made 3 threes in a row, is now going to get pressure, attack the defense, and lay it in or dump it off to somebody else. This is the progression of a great player and what he's grown into.
Terrific atmosphere here. The fans all bathed in green. Over 5,000 on hand. Elmore creating. His three is good! John Elmore again!
Iron Bennett into the game. A big body down screener. Forces the switch. Elmore again stretches the range out and is now fully on fire, Dave.
16-2 Marshall run. They were down by 10. Marrow. No. And Elmore saves it.
Here's the transition play. Attack the defense now.
Elmore again. Not that time. He's now 5 for 8 from deep.
That would have blown the roof off the building, and it was right on the money.
Fisher. Rejected, but fouled. triple teamed.
You have to understand when you play Marshall, 10-point lead, 10 points behind, you're always going to be in the game because they play at this pace. If you're behind, you can get back in the game. If you're ahead, don't relax because John Elmore is in the game. Now, the danger for the opponents is when he does cool off a little bit, C.J. Burks or a young guy like Kenzie gets hot. They're a potent offensive club.
Snaps a 6-0 run. Fisher, the 80% free throw shooter, 6th in the Big South. Gracie goes out, and so does Stanley. So mostly starters in there for Hampton, but they do bring Dondre Griffin in, who has not played much lately.
And this is a good play by Fisher to get in there, get fouled, stem the tide, let everything stop and settle down. As you mentioned, excellent free throw shooter, puts a couple points on the board, but allows your defense now to reset and get reorganized as Elmore gets a blow after his explosion. Boom!
Bennett bowling his way in. Rebounded by Hextall.
Iron Bennett going about 315, 320 these days, needs to drop some more, but has lost a lot of weight, worked hard, will be a factor in the future for the Thundering Herd.
Lost 70 pounds, a lot of hard work here after breaking his foot. Bennett fouled.
And at his size, you think he might be a plotter. He's a skilled guy. Catch, get fouled. He's going to go to the foul line coming out of the break.
3:41 left in the first half. The winner goes on to Thursday's CIT final. Marshall by 2 here in the CIT.
John Elmore, explosive. Look at the range. He gets a little space behind the screen. Knocks it down. That was after the free throw. Look at the range. Challenged by Hextall on that one. And if you go under the screen, he's going to knock that one down too. He's on fire.
Marshall has gone over 90 points 10 times this year, and they're on that kind of scoring pace here tonight. 39-37 Herd, with Iron Bennett going to the line, a redshirt freshman from Durham, North Carolina. Played on a dominating prep school team at Hargrave Military Academy. They went 47-1 his final year.
And as he keeps getting in better physical condition, matures, you can see the nice form, the soft touch at the foul line, good catch before the break to get fouled. Bright future for Iron Bennett.
And our sideline guy, Jake Griffith, had it right. The officials came over to us in the break and corrected the technical call as Marrow misses. The tee was on Marrow and not on the head coach, Buck Joyner, earlier this half. So Marrow with one foul.
Buck Joyner defending his player. I don't know what Marrow said. They called him for taunting. Maybe he got the bucket. Told those guys, you guys can't guard me, which I've done a decent job at so far.
3 on the way. Will not go for Griffin, the junior from Raleigh.
Interesting lineup for Marshall right now. No Elmore and no Burks. Guys that have played 38, 40 minutes a game in these CIT games.
That 3 is good. Jared West.
And Jared West, great defender, solid player, making some threes, few more this year. Earlier this year against Old Dominion, game-winning corner 3 and a huge victory down in Norfolk. close by the home of the Hampton Pirates. There you can see his defensive ability, Jared West. So he's done it on both ends, made a three. Good defense on Fisher.
Marrow nearly poked it away. Watson out to Kinsey. Some of the young guys in the game here for Marshall. A deep three will not fall for West. And it goes off of Williams to Hampton.
One of the things that happens when you play with a player like John Elmore, Dave, is you start to get confidence without knowing it. You're playing for Dan D'Antoni, who encourages three-point shots and free-flowing offense. And if John Elmore can make them, Jared West made one, you know what? I come back down. Why can't I get into the zone too? It grows the confidence in you as a player. And it's what leads you to the development of your game. There's all different kind of ways to be a player development coach. This is Dan D'Antoni's method, and it works.
It's absolutely worked as Marrow misses. Last year, Marshall won their first NCAA tournament game against Wichita State. This year, making it to the semis of the CIT. Bennett lost it. Hampton will have it. And Dan told me before the game, we're hard to scout. You know, I give them some concepts, let them go. It looks like something different almost every time down. And opposing coaches tell me, what are you guys running?
Well, it's hard to scout because they do have good stuff, as we mentioned earlier, out of timeouts. And we've not seen the Elmore to Jansen Williams clear the side lob play yet. That was here for James Kelly and Ryan Taylor. That's coming out at some point, too. So when they do run that stuff, it's usually effective. It's a great combination. It's what they do and what they're comfortable with, and it is difficult and to prepare for.
Elmore is back in. He feeds Williams. That three is good. Jansen Williams, a 37% three-point shooter. Marshall takes their largest lead.
So all of a sudden, the 33-23 Hampton lead has turned into a 46-37 deficit. All started with the John Elmore explosion.
23-4 run, 7-0, the most recent run for Marshall.
Good dump off there, good catch. And Hampton's got to have to continue to get points at the foul line. They've run into a little bit of a drought here. 4 points in the last 7 or 8 minutes, maybe.
Hampton 1 for their last 10. Their drought is 320.
320. Got a couple free throws from Fisher in there. It seems like 7 or 8 minutes.
Yep.
Happened in a hurry. Important for Hampton here. 53 seconds left. Get this one to go down. Get a stop. Get another bucket. Let's not let this margin get to 10-12 before halftime. Have it be 8-6 and manageable going into the locker room. Getting ready for the second half.
Barnes hits the free throw. 8-point game. Elmore, contested three, goes!
Flare screen, ball screen. Can't give them that much room.
The Herd extend their largest lead. Hampton calls time. They're use it or lose it with 33 seconds left, and the fans are up here in Huntington.
30-second timeout. This is good offense out of Marshall. Set play, as we've talked about a little bit, when they run these are effective. Let Elmore hit the high post. He's going to get a flare screen. If he's open on the flare, he's going to catch that and shoot it. But guess what? If the flare is well defended by Jermaine Marrow, they'll come out and ball screen for him. He'll come right off and knock down the open three. It's difficult to defend. And we haven't even seen, well, we did see one example earlier of the dump-off pass to Kinsey and around the basket, because at some point, John Elmore will be penetrating and attacking the defense as well.
So many options for this deep Marshall team. Deeper than Hampton and taller than Hampton as well. See if that becomes a factor. Rebounding is even right now. Marshall shooting it at 53%, Hampton at 36%.
And they're not going to let up. As the game goes along into the second half, they're going to keep this up. John Elmore's got 21 points. It's not like he's going to stop there.
Marrow, 3 on the shot clock. Rejected by Kinsey. And it goes out to Hampton. Only 1 on the shot clock.
Look at the athletic ability from Kinsey and Williams. Both guys. Iron Bennett in there. Kinsey, great block. This has to be a lob to the middle.
Hextall's shot will not fall. 6 seconds left in the half. Elmore is fouled at midcourt.
He had two choices. He had Kinsey on the run out, who was going to throw that down. Good foul on the defense.
1-1 here for John Elmore, 79% free throw shooter.
Those situations are tough. 1 second on the shot clock. You want to shoot it quickly, but if you don't play good transition defense off that miss, you have what was almost going to be a 1-on-0 for a dunk, or you foul and you put a great scorer on the line. It's a dangerous time. Hampton's looking at going into halftime here, potentially down by 13 points. How they start that first 4 minutes of the second half is going to be hugely important. You're not going to get all 12 or 13 of those points back at once. If you don't score right before halftime, you have to methodically work your way back into the game with what you did in the first 15 or 16 minutes and do a better job guarding number 33 in white.
4 seconds left in the half. Fisher trying to find a seam, can't find anybody, and they will not get a shot off even though it went in. It won't count. Hextall hits a half-court shot off the glass. That does not count. And Marshall takes their largest lead into the locker room, 51-38. John Elmore, 23 points. And Jake is standing by with Dan D'Antoni.
Marshall head coach Dan D'Antoni and Coach D'Antoni. John Elmore exploded in that first half, really powered you guys.
Well, he's lighting it up, so he gets that feeling. He's going his own number. That's all right by me.
Hampton really likes to get out in transition, but you guys have stifled them doing that. What's been the key?
We're two quick teams, and we're making shots down there. They don't get out as fast. So we got to keep applying the pressure. It's a long game.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck in the second half.
Okay.
Okay, Jake. Elmore's career high, 44 against UTEP. He is more than halfway there. 23 points at the half, and halfway to a triple-double as well. 5 rebounds and 5 assists. Stick around. We'll have a lot for you at the half. Jake will talk with Buck Joyner. We'll have stats. We'll have highlights. We'll talk about tonight's second semifinal in the CIT, Texas Southern at Green Bay. All of that coming up here from Huntington after this timeout. Dave Popkin, Mike Gillian, and Jake Griffith back with you here in Huntington, West Virginia on the campus of Marshall University. The Herd fell behind by 10. They now lead it by 13 points at the half. An offensive explosion, 11 for 20 from downtown. And Mike, let's revisit the impact players that we talked about at the outset before the game started. Jermaine Marrow, 10 points for Hampton. John Elmore, 23 for Marshall.
Well, it's kind of the difference when you look at it. Jermaine Marrow is a volume scorer, 25 points a game. He's on this CIT, the Lou Hinson All-American team, mid-major All-American team. He really needs to score a lot, and he needs some help from Kalen Fisher as well. Those guys have 18 combined, and it's in the first half for Marshall been the John Elmore show. Once he got going, as we heard Coach D'Antoni say right before halftime there, it's hard to stop that guy. He's got 23 points. As you mentioned, Dave, more than halfway to his 44-point explosion earlier this year, making step-back threes, off the ball screen threes, off the dribble, catch and shoot. When guys get in the zone that are great players like that and are fully engaged, a step back from 22 feet, unlimited range, it's really, really difficult to guard guys like that when they're in the zone.
Scoring point guard at the next level?
Scoring point guard, but also a good playmaker. We've not seen it because his team doesn't need him to do that. Let's use Steve Nash as an example. The D'Antonis have a great relationship. Right situation, right coach. He can play, though. He can do it.
Elmore has had a historic career here at Marshall and in Conference USA. Let's take a timeout. We'll be back with more on our halftime show in just a moment. Marshall leading at 51-38 over Hampton here in the semifinals of the CollegeInsider.com tournament. here at the Cam Henderson Center, and Marshall leading at 51-38 over Hampton at the break. What jumps out to you, Mike, on the stat sheet?
3-point field goal percentage right away. 55% on a team that shoots a lot of threes. Kinsey made 2, I believe. Williams made 1. Elmore's on fire. Jared West made 1. The rebound numbers are even. The rest of the stuff's pretty even. If they're making 55% of 3-point shots, you're not beating Marshall.
Not at all. That's 11 for 20. Elmore 6 for 9 from downtown in the first half. 23 points and just 38% for Hampton. Pretty good, but not good enough so far. That's 5 for 13.
And look at the interesting stat, too. Their overall field goal percentage for Hampton only 34%, which means Fisher and Merrill are taking some very difficult twos. So let's give some credit to the Marshall defense. The athletic length is making it difficult for those guys to get really good scoring opportunities.
Those two that you mentioned, Marrow and Fisher, have combined to go just 6 for 22 and 2 for 6 from downtown, and that's been the story of the game. And the bench didn't really come in and give Hampton much offense when those guys had to sit. So that's where we are here at the break, 51-38. Marshall on top. Only Elmore in double figures for the Herd. He has 23, and just Marrow in double digits for Hampton. He has 10. Fisher has added 8. Barnes with 7. Let's take a timeout and be back with the second half in just a bit here from Huntington.
Around the world, there's children who are practicing last-second jumpers in driveways. Friends say that's a king. Richmond, envisioning dreams with them, hooping on team scene. They're on the screen, deep in the march, selected to start, and just then, lock up on deep. Sticking together, believe, taking the charge, coming from Bean. Town media data, that's we. CBS Sports now. Before Damian Lillard was Portland bound, he played on this court, and now I think it's about time that we're bringing that course. So it's the CIT on CBS. Yes.
51-38, Marshall on top of Hampton here in the semifinals of the CIT. An exciting first half. Hampton went up by 10 here on the road, and then a 23-4 run at one point for the Thundering Herd. They came thundering back.
They did come thundering back. A lot of offensive production. We've talked about John Elmore over and over again. Making shots, making plays. There's Jansen Williams on the dunk from C.J. Burks. Don't forget about C.J. Burks. Jermaine Marrow and Fisher, 18 points on 22 shots. Hampton needs more of that in the second half. Run out layups, some transition opportunities of their own to get back into the game. Nice step back jumper from Jermaine Marrow. And again, him and Fisher have 18 points, but it took them 22 shots to get those 18 points. Hampton will need to be much more efficient as we go into the second half. Beautiful drive there by Fisher, laying it in, showing some of his capability. And there's the penetrating dish to Kinsey from Elmore. And a little bit of the sign of the times for the future of Marshall basketball. As you see Michael Byers knocking down that open three.
Hextall hit a couple threes, and then Marshall made their big run there at the end. CollegeInsider.com is your source for mid-major basketball. Off the Bounce is one of the best features on the site. Angela Lento covers the mid-major scene better than anyone. Angela was the first national reporter to tab Campbell's Chris Clemens as an All-American when he was a sophomore. Now Clemens, 3,000-point scorer, was the best player in the Big South this year. Also first on South Dakota State's Mike Dahm, who's going to be an NBA player, a 3,000-point scorer.
And don't forget about the next guy, Ja Morant. She had Ja Morant before anybody. And if you go to collegeinsider.com, watch some of these off-the-bounce segments. She does great narration. The video's great. The editing's great. And they're talking about a different guy from Austin Peay who was freshman of the year in the Ohio Valley Conference, was not Ja Morant. And one of the best things is she uses that 80s music, Dave. A little Chic was in there in that Triangle and Two stuff from the last one. So it's great for college basketball, for mid-major college basketball, that you have someone like Angela and like Joe Dwyer that put all this energy into producing the website, the events, and the CIT. Without what they do, none of this would even be happening.
A lot of insightful work. Angela looks like she could be in the Bengals or perhaps the Go-Go's. I'm not sure.
She might do a better job defending John Elmore than some of these guys at Hampton have done.
Well, our second semifinal game in the CIT is coming up after this on WatchCIT.com. 9 o'clock Eastern Time, the Phoenix of Green Bay. Sandy Cohen, a future pro, Marquette transfer, taking on the Tigers of Texas Southern, who have won 24 games already this year out of the SWAC, and two tough teams, Mike.
School record 24 wins for Texas Southern. Storied history there. Green Bay, potent offense like we're seeing in Marshall. And how about this? We're watching Hampton here tonight. Hampton and Texas Southern have each won 3 games in this year's CIT. Those 6 combined wins are the most combined wins by HBCUs in any postseason basketball tournament in NCAA Division I history. So we talk about off the bounce, we talk about Angela and Joe and what they do for college basketball. How about the opportunity for those programs to do what they're doing in this year's CIT?
It's been terrific. Hampton won 2 of theirs at home. Texas Southern has had to win all 3 of theirs on the road, trying to make it 4 tonight in Green Bay. We'll take a timeout, be back with the second half in just a sec. Marshall 51, Hampton 38, here from Huntington. Back with you here at Marshall. The Herd leading it by 13 at the half. And let's send it over to Jake Griffith, who has something from Hampton.
Well, guys, during the halftime break, I had a chance to catch up with head coach Buck Joyner, and I asked him, I said, obviously, Fisher and Merrill, 18 combined points. Fisher only with 8 of those. How do you get Jalen Fisher going? He says, we need to make our offense work through Jalen Fisher in the second half. He also says that they need to force the ball out of John Elmore's hands. We saw Elmore explode in that first half, 23 points. And lastly, they need to stop the 3, defend the three-point line, run Marshall shooters off the three-point line. 11 made threes for the Herd in that first half. Guys, back to you.
Okay, Jake, so we're underway here in the second half. Hampton with the ball first, and a lay-in missed by Trayvon Barnes, the senior. He's averaging 16 a game here in the CIT, but couldn't finish that.
Good set from Hampton coming out of the break. Just a miss from Barnes that they needed to get going, and they're going to need stops on the defensive end.
Force-feeding Barnes here. Missed 2 in a row, rebounded by Darius George, who had to sit a while with 2 fouls in the first half.
Not much out of Darius George, but beautiful two-hand, fundamentally sound rebound from George as he catches the pass from Burks and misses the layup.
That was the other guy that had 2 fouls, who was sitting for a while, C.J. Burks. A foul, a reach-in goes against Akeem Mitchell of Hampton.
So this is something, Dave, that looks kind of in the flow because it's not set, stop, get in a position, and it's on the move. But Marshall gets to the half court into the offensive area quickly. Double high ball screen for Burks, not Elmore. George is the second guy rolling, and then you hit him on the roll with the space cleared out. He either finishes or gets fouled. So it's offensive execution. That's a set that just happens very quickly. as we're going to see George get fouled on his way to the basket there by Akeem Mitchell.
Free throw won't go for Darius George. Hampton trying to win their 19th game of the year. They won 19 last year when they went to the NIT. Poked away by Burks. Pirates keep it.
I think Marshall's got a little bit more in tune now with Merrow and Fisher and their combination. They've done a much better job defending and contesting those guys as they're penetrating. That time we saw Merrow get into the lane, contained, and on the kick-out pass attempt deflected by Burks. So Marshall using their length, understanding what those guys are trying to do, able to make those shots difficult, as we talked about at halftime.
Mike, the third foul on Jared West. So Marshall has a lot going their way, but foul trouble not one of them. That's a 2-point jumper for Akeem Mitchell, the senior.
Let's give Buck Joyner credit. We talked about Dan D'Antoni coming out of timeouts. That's a baseline out of bounds, set play to get a specific shot for a guy who can make that jumper. Excellent job by Coach Joyner. Excellent execution by the players. 2 points on the board for Hampton.
Burks cannot connect, and Hextall with the rebound. Hampton went to the NCAAs 3 times when they were in the MEAC in recent years. First year in the Big South. That's way off the mark from Mitchell. Elmore surveys, thought about it. Good dish to an open George.
We're going to talk about this later, but that's an example right there. That action that just occurred doesn't happen much in college. That's an NBA action that we just saw. And at some point, we'll see that again and go back to it. It's why John Elmore can be successful at the next level.
You have a coach who was an assistant for 3 different NBA teams.
Let's talk about it now. So what you saw was he didn't have the 3, which he's been making. They pushed up on him. He throws it to Jansen Williams. Williams gives it right back to him on the move. It's like a ball screen, except you're moving. The defenders have a tough time. Everybody sucks in, and he kicks it out to Darius George, who's wide open. Those combination of plays from Elmore show his basketball IQ and the ability to do what it takes to play at an NBA or G League potential level.
Barnes connects. Trayvon Barnes, the veteran from Lafayette, Alabama.
Right back in it. Couple buckets for Hampton. Good start to the second half. Good defense on Elmore.
And Barnes grabs the rebound. He has 9 points, 3 boards now. Hextall with 6 points, 10 rebounds. Marrow posting on Watson.
Again, good length. Rondell Watson, good individual defense on Marrow. Make the shot difficult. Not that he's not capable of making difficult shots, but
little touch foul there as Tavion Kinsey looks like he'll be shooting 2.
Kinsey's going to go to the line.
4th foul on Mitchell.
I'm sure Kinsey would like to be in the conversation that I'm going to bring up to you, because he's only a freshman. Look at his length and his size. What could he develop into? There are 3 guys who have played in the CIT, Dave, who have gone on to become NBA lottery picks. One of them was the unanimous NBA Rookie of the Year, Damian Lillard. Do you know who the other 2 are?
Hit me.
Alfred Payton.
Yep.
I believe he was the 10th pick by the Orlando Magic. And Cameron Payne from Murray State. Guys,
Murray State.
Great guard play, mid-major basketball, that have played in the CIT and have found their way into NBA success. Maybe John Elmore. I don't think John Elmore is going to be a lottery pick, but he might very well join that group one day. And maybe a young guy like Kinsey can blossom into that.
Cameron Payne had a great tournament. Murray State won at home in the CIT. Took the championship a couple of years ago. That's helped their program, and obviously they ended up with John Morant, who went to the second round of the NCAAs this year.
Storied tradition. We talked about Liberty and Wofford earlier, how they played in the CIT last year, won games in the NCAAs this year. UMBC, CIT semifinal like this game tonight, beat UVA. And the list goes on and on. Murray State winning it, what they've done. good teams, good coaches, good players. They want to play in an event like this. It builds their program. Great crowd here in Huntington, West Virginia tonight. Great opportunity for you and I to be working, calling the game. Great pump up off the bounce, collegeinsider.com. Angelo Linto.
It's a lot of fun. These teams are playing hard, and that tip will not go for Watson. And Hampton on the move. Marrow finds a man. Hextall drives, and he cannot hit it. Wanted the foul.
Little sloppy. Both teams running up and down. Elmore from 30.
Misses the parking lot three. Watson with a rebound.
Boy, the crowd loves those long threes, don't they? They want him to shoot it from farther and farther out.
Make or miss, they like it.
They do. You can hear them. The groan on the miss, but if it goes in, the place erupts.
It's like when Babe Ruth would strike out. They just want to see the big swing.
Like Manny Ramirez, Big Papi. I get my free throw shooting and my Red Sox references in every chance I get.
I've always said John Elmore is the Big Papi of Huntington. 15:47 left in the game. 53-42. The home team, Marshall on top. Back with more CIT semifinal action after this. Marshall leading by 11. This is what you were talking about earlier, Mike.
Yeah, watch the action here. John Elmore's looking for the shot. Well defended. Hits Williams, gets it right back. Now he's driving the lane and the kick out to Darius George. That action of chasing the pass. Throw it to the post guy as Marshall throws a little pressure in here after the timeout. Hit the post guy who's a ball handler, gives it right back to you. It's very difficult to defend and gives the playmaker, Elmore, lots of options.
That was gorgeous. Everybody sucked in for Hampton and left the shooter wide open. Here is Gracie, rejected by Bennett.
And it's an example of Elmore not just making the threes, but if you then push up on him, he's going to drive the lane, dump off, kick out. Excellent playmaker.
Elmore at 23 in the first half, quiet here in the second half. That three will not go, but the tip does for Rondell Watson.
Kenzie, the ability by Coach D'Antoni, given the ability to take the step back three, growing part of his game. And Rondell Watson, experienced player right on the offensive glass. Nobody checked him out. Easy tip in for Watson.
Marrow will be shooting too. Paid the price for that drive. Remember, Akeem Mitchell has 4 fouls. He's on the bench for Hampton.
Good play by Marrow, attacking the defense. And if you're Hampton, beyond the attack, because when Marshall has a lead that starts to stretch out, they do have the tendency to not maybe get back so well in transition. You'll get some quick scoring opportunities because they don't really, it's maybe the wrong thing to say that they don't care if you score, but they're going to outscore you on the other end.
Marrow moved past Greg Hines for second place on the all-time scoring list for Hampton here tonight.
Only a junior. We'll be talking about him next year doing some of the stuff we're talking about John Elmore doing this year.
12 points tonight for Marrow. Bennett with the offensive rebound. And finally corralled by Ben Stanley, the freshman.
I think the crowd likes Iron Bennett layups as much as they like John Elmore threes. Great rebound, just didn't finish it.
Hextall, a tough 2.
Greg Hextall's had a nice game. Going to need a lot more of that. Kind of hang in there.
8 points, 10 boards. Bennett bowling his way in again. Gets his own rebound. And Bennett, was he fouled? He was.
He'll go back to the line. It's something about big guys making plays and small guys making long jumpers.
Stanley got him. He gives away about 100 pounds to Bennett in that matchup.
One of the things that's gone maybe not totally unnoticed, but people want to talk about a lot in the game of basketball today. This is good competition. Teams are playing hard. There's some physical play. And after a lot of these physical plays, guys on both sides tap each other on the chest, helping somebody up off the floor. There's nothing wrong with good sportsmanship while you're still continuing to play hard and compete.
First foul on Gracie, fourth on the Hampton team. Marshall just 3 team fouls here in the second half, and the Herd with a 55-46 lead. I agree.
So many times people get hung up on that don't help them up type stuff as Elmore buries a long jumper that at the break they're going to take a look at and see whether that was a 3 or a 2. I think that was a long 2. It looked like he had a foot on the line when he took that one.
It's ruled a 3 live. And Williams with the loose ball rebound. Elmore with the lob. Are you kidding me? The 50-foot pass. Elmore draws contact.
It's a pass.
Yes, not a shooting foul.
Be upset with himself that he tried to pass that. Let's take a look here and see if it is indeed a 3 or a 2. There's kind of that running NBA type play. He's on the line. That's going to be a 2. Good vision.
I don't know.
That's going to be a 2 when they come out of the break. We're going to see. They're going to go look at it at the next timeout. Use the replay for effectiveness.
Hextall finds a shooter, but Mitchell cannot hit. Mitchell playing with 4. If you're Buck Joyner, you have to. Can't let this game get away any further. Marrow.
Mistake there by Elmore. He had Bennett on the lob. Oh, speaking of lobs.
Unbelievable. Marrow to Hextall with a 40-foot pass.
Little taste of your own medicine, Thundering Herd.
13-point lead down to 10. 13:03 left here in the second half.
Look at Marrow finding Hextall in transition for the lob, taking us to the break with Marshall up by 10, 13 minutes left.
Flip on the CIT, hooper, we need degrees. Shooting from 3 with ease, it's easy to see with fiends. Please believe that every possession that counts. Obsessed from our couches, hanging with every pass like a oop that's delivered. Ejected perfection, now bouncing. Fans in the stands with hands up, just like the trap of oppressed. 10,000 strong, stars have been born before insanity. Yes, CBS Sports now. Before Damian Lillard was Portland bound, he played on this court, and now I think it's about time that we're bringing that course. So it's the CIT on CBS. Yes. North to the south, east to the west, from Idaho to the bayou, and wide to LA, we're making a pay and making our way to the finals. Barreling to like some miners, the atmosphere is by the band. We're a team and valuable lessons will last us forever. Another red man, check on the count, lock up on D. I think it's about time that we're bringing that course. So it's the CIT on CBS. 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 Yes.
Marshall by 10 here in Huntington. Dave Popkin, Mike Gillian back with you at the Cam Henderson Center. And Jake Griffith has something for us.
Well, Buck Joyner not exactly pleased with his team's performance right now. As you mentioned, Hampton down by 10. He's used it since the first half. He says they're bunched in. They need to spread out a little bit more on offense. As Dan D'Antoni mentioned at the half, they have been able to stifle Hampton's transition offense. Just 7 fast break points. Keep in mind, KenPom.com rates Hampton as the 31st fastest tempo team in the nation. He did say, though, he likes that they have limited the lob opportunities of Marshall. You guys have talked about it all game long. They love to throw those backdoor cuts to the lobs.
So back underway as Marshall with a 57-48 lead. Elmore handling here. 25 points for him. Putting him over 2,600 for his career. Poked away by Elmore, and Hampton will keep it.
A little sloppy last couple times for Marshall. A couple of turnovers. When we look at the stats as they start to stack up, Merrill 4 for 14 and Fisher 2 for 10 now. It's a product of the difficulty of the shots they're taking as a result of the length of the Marshall defense.
Hextall misses. Barnes fighting for the rebound and laid back in by Mitchell. Players falling down. Nothing was called. Mike Byers hit the deck hard.
I think he hit the deck and hit his funny bone.
Nothing funny about that.
No, nothing funny about that, dropping that pass out of bounds on the last one either. Let's see what happened to him here. He's battling inside for position. Gets him. Oh! Now, it's an interesting play that if officials decided to, they could go look at. One thing at the beginning of this year was called hook and hold. It's been a little bit of a controversy with that.
Oh, Elmore hits it, and he's fouled. They say no shot.
Even the Stripes think that was good, but he's going to wave that off.
Oh, wow. It looked like a continuation for Elmore. What a shot. You got to give him that.
Yeah, that basket was good.
He'll take 3 instead.
So that's the same type of play we highlighted earlier on the inbounds. He throws it, chases it, but instead of chasing, steps back. Fisher goes under the screen. Elmore buries the 3.
28 tonight for Elmore. Again, his career high is 44. A deep 3. Good. Kalen Fisher drills it from the left corner. Marshall quickly the other way with Darius George.
When you make a shot on one end, to let a guy get behind the defense on the other end, it's not what coaches want to see.
Barnes misses from downtown. This guy's just heaving shots now.
This is a dangerous time for Hampton. You don't want to get carried away. You made a 3, give up a transition layup. You have Barnes shooting 20-footers. Got to kind of stay composed. You're only down by 9. You're right in there.
Hextall on the move. 4 on the shot clock. Very difficult shot for Greg Hextall, who has a double-double, 12 points, 11 boards.
Even if Hextall doesn't make that difficult turnaround jumper, that was a nice long possession for Hampton, as we see Elmore hit George with the kickback pass once again.
Elmore should have about 12 assists by now. The guys are just not making shots. Timeout on the floor, 10:42 left in this CIT semifinal. Things getting interesting. 13-point lead is down to 7. 62-55 Herd.
We're going to see that difficult turnaround jumper by Greg Hextall. That's going to take us to a timeout. 10:42 left. Marshall by 7.
Well, guys, as we saw, Michael Byers went down with the elbow injury. Head trainer Crystal Pohl worked him out. Looks like he's going to be fine. Just a ding on the funny bone, as you guys mentioned, which is huge for Marshall. So the Houston Texas native will stay in the game.
Beautiful move by Fisher.
Barnes with the putback and the foul. Hampton is right in this thing. 62-57. Hampton led by 10 in the first half, but fell behind by 13 at the break and have clawed their way back into it. They now have 4 in double figures. Marrow and Hextall have 12. Barnes and Fisher with 11 apiece, and Mitchell has 9. So there's the balance that you talked about as Barnes connects on the old school three-point play.
Hampton was not going to go away. They needed to have a good start to the second half, which they've done. They've worked their way right back into the game. But this is not new territory for Marshall. They're an excellent team, but they don't have that firepower, the depth and firepower, maybe to put some people away that they've had in the past.
Burks with an ill-advised shot. Goes out of bounds to Hampton, who can perhaps cut it to 1 here. Marshall shooting 21% in the second half and 1 for 9 from downtown.
They'll need John Elmore to heat up once again to carry them in the last 9 minutes. Or get some scoring out of somebody else.
Touch foul out front. Called against Burks.
And if we went back, Dave, 4 or 5 possessions, even though Hextall hit that turnaround jumper, or even if he didn't hit it, it was an important possession for Hampton to kind of just slow things down. You mentioned guys are just launching up shots. As we see C.J. Burks go out with those 4 fouls. Important development on the Marshall side. If this game stays close and they don't have C.J. Burks toward the end, it could be problems for the Herd.
7 on the shot clock. Marrow, bad to the bone. Marrow hits the deep 3.
From John Elmore lands, and we've got ourselves a ball game.
8-0 run for Hampton. Williams knocked away, fouled. Brent Hampton with the call. Said Fisher hit him on the side of the head. 1-point game.
Look how far out he is from the half-court logo.
It's almost a 30-footer.
Steph Curry range. Way downtown.
The front end goes for Jansen Williams, a 73% free throw shooter. Had a career high 24 at Maryland earlier this year. Was a center in high school, never really shot threes, and he's being asked to here.
It's going to be interesting to see how foul trouble works its way into the game here. I mentioned Burks with 4, West with 3, and on the Hampton side, Akeem Mitchell playing with 4 fouls, and Fisher also with 3. Either team loses one of those guys, it's going to be tough.
Barnes can't get it. A man hits the deck for Marshall. And it looks like a foul on the rebound against Hampton's Marrow.
And what goes along with fouls are free throws. When you get into this time of the game, we know, and we've talked about Hampton's excellent free throw shooting, as Fisher's going to get a blow. He'll probably get a blow here for 57 seconds or so into the next media timeout with those 3 fouls. And if you get into a free throw shooting contest with Hampton, that's likely to not end well. These guys can make some foul shots.
Marshall is decent at 73% collectively, but as we talked about, Hampton at 79% as a team. They left one on the table there. Herd by 3, 8:50 left in the game.
Those front ends of 1-on-1s can come back to haunt you as well if you don't knock those down.
The winner of this hosts the CIT final on Thursday night. Marrow's 3 would have tied it.
Great pass from Hextall to find Merrill cross court. Plenty of range, plenty of time and space, just didn't get it to go down.
Elmore left open for 3. Not that time. Rebounded by Hextall. Marrow the aggressor. Marrow gets it back, can't connect. The putback goes for Ben Stanley. 4 points today for Stanley and 5 boards.
4 points on 2 offensive rebounds. Those are 4 huge points. 2 putback buckets for Ben Stanley off the bench.
Marshall by 1 with the ball. The lob off the rim intended for Williams. Here comes Marrow. Under control. Hampton is a veteran team, and they've played like it here in the second half. Oh, that would have counted. Ben Stanley will be shooting 2.
John Elmore, a little overmatched in the post, made the choice. Don't give Stanley the easy bucket. Let's put him on the line, make him earn it from there.
His second foul, 6th on the team. So on the next Marshall foul, Hampton will be in the bonus for the rest of this ball game. Some other contributors here for the Pirates.
Ben Stanley came to play.
Heard by 1, 7:39 left in this CIT semifinal. We're back.
It's the CIT on CBS. It's the CIT on CBS. Yes.
Hampton was down by 13 points a couple different times in this game. And in their first ever CIT, they're trying to pull the upset here on the road and advance to the final on Thursday night. They trail it by 1 with 7:39 left. Ben Stanley, a freshman at the line, and he has one more coming.
He's the one guy that's not shooting in that 70 to 80% range for Hampton, but knocks that one down and looked good doing it.
For the lead, gets the roll. Hampton back in front for the first time since early in the first half. Elmore kicks out to Kinsey. Now this 3 from Williams is good. A huge bucket for Jansen Williams.
The Herd needed that one. Needed somebody to knock one down besides John Elmore. Weather the storm. Let's see if they can pick up the defensive intensity a little bit. It's been Marrow, Hextall, and Fisher.
Hextall is fouled. George says, who, me? No, it wasn't on George. It was on Kinsey instead, his first.
And Hextall made a couple threes in that first half, was feeling good. You look up, all of a sudden, he's got 13 defensive rebounds in the game, Dave. 12 points, 5 for 10, made a couple threes. Gonna go to the line. And as the difficulties for Marrow and Fisher have happened, this guy has kept them in the game. Now, your main guys can take over a little bit.
He really has. 13 points. We talked about the rebounding, but 3 assists, 2 steals. Very effective out there. Hits both free throws. Greg Hextall, the junior from Norfolk, transferred in from Bryant and Stratton, was a JUCO All-American there.
So this is Hampton's formula. They've already got, Mitchell has 9 points, but 5 guys, for all intents and purposes, in double figures, balanced scoring, and these 5 guys are going to play the rest of the way.
Looked like an offensive foul as Kinsey pushed off. See what the call is here. They call a block on Jermaine Marrow.
They've gotten a few good minutes, and that foul on Marrow. In position, if you're in guarding position, you can move. That's probably an offensive foul on Kinsey, and he thought it was an offensive foul. Marrow was in excellent guarding position. You don't have to be stationary if you're guarding a driver, as long as you keep in front of you.
They clear something off the court here before Kinsey, a 65% free throw shooter, goes to the line.
For Hampton, as they look forward to the last 6 and 7 minutes here, 6:49 left in the game. These 5 guys that are on the court are going to play. You might get Ben Stanley for a few minutes. He's had nice minutes, giving him good production. As Kinsey misses the front end of the 1-and-1, that's the second time for Marshall. They've left 4 points on the board by missing at the foul line. And here we go.
Inside 6:40 to go, all tied up at 67. Marrow rejected by Williams, but the putback goes. Pirates stick with it. Trayvon Barnes. He has a dozen.
Offensive rebounding putbacks. Stanley did it, now Barnes.
Elmore, wild shot, no good. Rebounded again by Barnes, who has 14 points, 6 rebounds. Marrow on the kick. 3 on the way. No good from Mitchell.
And good unselfish play by a guy averages 25 points a game. Marrow, instead of taking a contested shot, kicks it to a wide open Akeem Mitchell, just doesn't knock down the open 3.
The lob. George. Elmore. 3. Way off the mark. He's gone cold in the second half. 23 in the first half, 5 in the second half.
Just needs one to go in to get back in rhythm, but where is that rhythm?
Marrow way off. It's contagious.
What we saw in the first half, Elmore making the threes, and then the long 3 from Marrow here in the second half, well, those guys can miss as well, and every now and then they're going to launch up one that hits nothing. So, even, bad miss from Elmore, bad miss from Marrow. Let's hit the reset button and do it all over again. Marshall
down 2. Will this be the last game of Elmore's career or C.J. Burks's career?
There's the lob.
The lob to Williams, who's been terrific off the assist from Burks.
That's something we talked about earlier. It's a set action that Marshall will run, clear the side. This time it's Burks to Jansen Williams.
Tough 3. Goes! Kalen Fisher off balance. Pirates lead at 72-69.
So if anyone watching wonders whether these guys are going to stop shooting because they missed a couple, the answer is no.
Elmore drives, finds a man. Good ball movement here. Still time on the shot clock. Now down to 8. Elmore tied up, tried to tip it. Out of bounds to Marshall with 4 on the shot clock.
This is good play by Elmore because he's missed a couple threes, gone cold, stand still a little bit, not that energy, not engaged. So drive in there, get some contact, get banged around a little, make a pass, maybe get a free throw. It sort of re-engages you as a player.
Burks, 2 on the shot clock. Side of the backboard, shot clock violation.
Little restless. All of a sudden, down by 3 with 4.5 minutes to go. You were kind of cruising along. And once again, we're going to say it in the last 4 minutes. You do not want to get into a free throw shooting contest with the Hampton Pirates.
Fisher. Hextall has been big. Hextall on the leaner. Not that time. And Bennett tips the rebound to Elmore. Elmore.
2 guys on John Elmore. A lot of attention now. They're not leaving him alone. Hextall with length and a second helping defender.
Burks to the rim.
When Elmore gets a lot of attention, it gives Burks opportunities and other guys, maybe West, to get in there and attack the basket as the crowd comes to life.
Barnes for 3. Bennett with a rebound. 3:25 left. Hurd down by 1 with the ball. These coaches not calling timeout, letting them play.
Let's look for that flare screen again here. Let Burks is going to hit the elbow.
Poked away. Who touched it last? Marshall ball. Buck Joyner can't believe it.
Coach D'Antoni not happy. Looking for a specific shot.
Our last media timeout in regulation. 3:05 left here in the ball game.
There's the lob to Williams, the cleared outside. Nice, beautiful pass from C.J. Burks. And the step back from Kalen Fisher. Tough as we go to a timeout. Hampton by 1.
these teams came in red hot. Winners of 8 of their last 9. And they have played well tonight. Only one can move on to the CIT final. Thursday night at 7 o'clock on WatchCIT.com, part of CBS Sports Digital. Here we go. 3 minutes left. Elmore can't stick it. Rebounded by Barnes.
A lot of attention will be given to Elmore, and on the other end, a lot of attention to Marrow and Fisher. Defensive rebounding. We saw Hampton clear that rebound. Will be huge. You don't want to give up second chance points and easy buckets here in the last couple minutes either.
Marrow. The pick and pop. Barnes misses his second 3 in a row. Rebounded by Byers.
They've given Barnes the green light. He's open on that, and defensive rebound for Marshall. Both teams cleaning up the defensive glass.
Barnes 0 for 4 from downtown. Here's Burks. Tough shot. Would have counted. Burks will be shooting 2.
Senior, attack, get into the basket area, get to the foul line. As we've said constantly throughout the course of the game, you don't want to get in a free throw shooting contest with Hampton. They're excellent at the line. However, if you get volume, that's a good thing. Both George and Kinsey have left points on the board by missing 1-and-1s. It's a 2-shot foul and also puts Marshall into the double bonus from here on out.
One more coming for the senior C.J. Burks. Get another look at his drive. Got him with the body. Burks is from Martinsburg, West Virginia, one of several players that Dan D'Antoni has been able to keep home from the Mountain State. 9 players and coaches combined from West Virginia, doing it with the local folk. And Burks knocks down the free throw as Marshall retakes the lead. 73-72, 2:20 left.
Forced difficult shots and defensive rebound.
Marrow on the dish, and Barnes with the jam.
A lot of attention to Marrow. Beautiful find. Nice catch and finish. Elmore not dropping down in on the weak side to take away that dump-off pass. Two-hand throwdown from Trayvon Barnes.
Barnes has 16. Hampton by 1. 1:50 left.
Right at him, right at him.
Burks. Deeks his man, cannot finish the play. Bennett, did he come over the back? Oh, a foul on Mitchell. How is that physically possible?
It's a big body in Iron Bennett. I don't know. Let's see if Akeem Mitchell was in position or if it was Barnes. So this is one, I do not like when these are called over the back calls, because you're not going over the back, you're going straight up. I can understand what this call is, Dave, because Iron Bennett is entitled to his space. So as he elevates for the rebound in his own area, 2-hand rebound, Akeem Mitchell actually backs underneath him. And much like a jump shooter needs room to come down, that rebounder has to be entitled to his space to come back down to the floor. So in this particular case, no argument from what I see in making that call on Akeem Mitchell.
Agreed. 1:42 left. 74-73 Hampton. Bennett, just a 38% free throw shooter. Not many attempts this year. It's good.
He made one in the first half. Looks good doing it. Has been in and out of the lineup. Has had some injuries.
He's had problems with broken feet in his career.
If he gets this one to go, we're going to see Kinsey back into the game for defense. A little more athletic. Challenger. Good defensive rebounder.
Can't give him the lead. Marshall has struggled a bit at the line, going 11 for 18. Hampton 14 out of 16. That's been a difference. Tied at 74. Minute and a half left.
This is West and Marrow. There's that NBA action, looking for the handoff.
Disrupted, no foul called. Here comes Burks on the move, lays it up and in! Timeout Hampton. 13 for Burks as he puts the herd in front, and the crowd rises to their feet here at the Henderson Center.
Could have been a foul defending that chasing action where you hit the post guy and get it back. Let's take a look and see. A lot of contact, loose ball, play on, an excellent finish in transition from C.J. Burks. Does this mean something to these two teams? I'd certainly say so.
No doubt. They are pumped up and fighting hard out there. 1:11 left. Marshall leading it 76-74. Marshall trying to win their 22nd game of the year and advance to the CIT final. And this their second time in the tournament. They were in the quarters under Donnie Jones back in 2010.
The action we've been seeing out of timeouts is high ball screen from Merrill. We saw the dump off to Barnes, or that chasing action.
Timeout again. They couldn't get it in.
Good job by Marshall on defense. Make them burn the timeout. Each one that you use means you have one less, and that's the last timeout for Hampton with a minute and 11 left.
So costly. In a close game like this, you're going to need them, and they just couldn't get the ball in bounds.
All right, we're going to stay right here, Dave. Cam Henderson Center, beautiful Huntington, West Virginia. Great atmosphere, large crowd. They've been in and out a little bit, fueled by John Elmore's threes in the first half, giving fuel to the team back in the last couple minutes on defense here. Marshall's picked up the defensive intensity, even on that last out-of-bounds play. Make Hampton burn their last time out. That's what college basketball's all about.
It's been a terrific game. Marshall has hit 13 threes, but just 2 for 12 from downtown in the second half to let Hampton get back into it. Hampton has only shot 38% in the second half, but they've made all 7 free throws. They've been pretty good on the glass, and they've hung in there.
They really have. Now they're in a situation, timeout, down by 2, minute and 11 left. You got to go with Merrow and Fisher. They're your main guys. The actions have been high ball screens. We saw the chasing play that didn't work. Probably don't go back to that. We've seen Hextall a little bit of a clear out action. So the other thing is potentially clearing the side for one of those guys to attack and see what he can find. I'm sure the Marshall coaching staff is going through, it seems like a lot, but it's really just let's concentrate on Merrow and Fisher, make it tough on them, make them throw it to somebody else. Hextall, Barnes, we saw Barnes with the dunk. And what can they do here? This is going to be Merrow chasing off of this double high ball screen, looking to catch the inbounds. He's got 3 guys to use, with Stanley in there as well. Try to get the inbounds to him. He's going to use all 3 guys, catch it, and play from there.
Jared West knows that he's guarding Merrow. Got to get it in. Finally, they do to Hextall, avoiding the 5-second call.
Merrow's still got to get the ball in his hands.
West is denying, 15 on the shot clock, 1 minute left in the game. Marshall by 2. Fisher inside for the jam. It's Trayvon Barnes. We're tied at 76.
All the attention to Fisher and Merrow. 3 guys guarding 2. Barnes rolls wide open, hit the open man. Again, nice catch and finish from Barnes to tie it up.
Timeout called by Dan D'Antoni and the Thundering Herd. They will have 2 remaining. Hampton has none. Take a timeout here with 43 seconds left. Don't go away. Tied at 76 here in the semifinals of the CIT.
On the CIT, hooper we need the breeze. Shooting from 3 with ease. It's easy to see with fiends. Please believe that every possession that counts. Obsessed from our couches, hanging with every pass like a oop that's delivered. A gem to perfection, now bouncing. Fans in the stands with hands up, just like the trap of a press. 10,000 strong, stars have been born before insanity. Yes, CBS Sports now. Before Damian Lillard was Portland bound, he played on this court, and now I think it's my time that we're bringing that course. So it's the CIT on CBS. Yes.
Dave Popkin, Mike Gillian, and Jake Griffith back with you here. Marshall has just taken a timeout to discuss this offensive possession. 43.9 seconds left in the game, 20 on the shot clock, and they have to figure out a way to get John Elmore the ball.
Well, there's a lot of time left, a lot of possessions left. You look at 44 seconds, normally think, wow, what's going to happen? There's 1 or 2 possessions. Marshall could have the ball here. Because they have it, they have the advantage of getting an extra possession. So they could end up with the ball maybe 4 more times, Hampton maybe 3 more times. The one thing there is they've now paid a lot of attention on a couple possessions to Merrow and Fisher and left Barnes all by himself for 2 dunks. If you keep doing that, they're going to keep throwing it. That guy's laid in. Pick your poison. Now they got to pay attention to him. It's going to leave Merrow and Fisher with opportunities from the perimeter. And you can be rest assured this is going to revolve around John Elmore for Marshall.
Elmore has the rock. Off to his running mate, Burks. Burks is fouled out on the perimeter before the shot.
Pretty common here in college basketball when you have a guy like Burks who's excellent attacking. Isolate him in the elbow area, throw it to him. He's got a lot of options. One of those is turn and face. You're 1 dribble from the rim or get fouled. So here he's at the elbow. Pick your choice. Doesn't use the ball screen, rejects it, goes right at Stanley, draws the foul.
His first foul, and Burks hits the free throw. 1 more coming here. Marshall by 1 with 34.7 seconds left. Our second semifinal tonight will be Texas Southern and Green Bay here on WatchCIT.com as Burks hits both free throws. Marshall by 2, and Marshall calls a 30-second timeout. They'll have 1 left.
So, Dave, they've paid a lot of attention, Marshall has, to the best guys that have the ball in their hands for Hampton. Rightfully so. Good players make good plays. What those guys for Hampton have done, and trust their teammates, Trayvon Barnes, thrown it to him twice in a row for dunks. Now what do? You can't let that guy be all open by himself at the basket. So it's 1-on-1. Play it out.
Barnes now leads Hampton with 18 points. Does this timeout do a favor for the Pirates because they didn't have any left to set up an offensive play?
Not really. It allows you to set the defense. You can sub on the made free throw that allows you to set the defense, or you can say to your team, let's go, man. We're 1 stop from winning, going to the CIT championship. A stop and a rebound. Interesting that they're going to let Hextall handle it and let both these guys use the down screens here.
Greg Hextall. Now Fisher. 15 on the shot clock. 19 left in the game. Fisher with Kinsey on him. Fisher, a very deep 3. No good. And Marshall has the rebound. It's Burks. And he is fouled with just over 9 seconds left. And a chance to maybe ice it at the line. It was a really deep 3.
It's a deep 3. He's made one earlier. Most valuable player in that possession, probably Jansen Williams, because he's guarding Stanley. He can be the help guy, clog the lane, take the traffic, and then Fisher has to shoot the long jumper. No longer is Barnes going uncontested to the basket.
They didn't need a 3, but they went for the win, so to speak. C.J. Burks.
Senior, rhythm, made 5 in a row now. This makes it a 2-possession game if he makes it. Now you're switching everything on defense, keep it in front of you, make them take the long jumper, secure the rebound. Even on a made free throw, a 3 at this end doesn't hurt you.
One more for Burks, who has 16. Got it. 80-76, Marshall. And they call time again. It's their last time out, the Herd. Jake, what's going on?
Switch on the ball screens. We have seen this season against Southern Miss, against Presbyterian, against teams that like to switch on ball screens. Marshall has struggled with those screens. Dan D'Antoni said, go with the man, do not switch on defense, fall into the hoop, and I'd have to believe that mentality is going to be the same here on this final possession.
All right, Jake. Just over 9 seconds left. Hampton needs a miracle. Here's Fisher. On the push. Got to shoot. Fisher hits it. No foul called. 2-point game.
No timeouts.
2.2 seconds left. Burks fouled. Wasn't called. That's the ball game. Marshall wins it. 80-78. Hampton is saying, where is the foul? They're out on the floor. Brent Hampton is saying the game is over. There was nothing called, and Marshall is moving on to the CIT final. They will host here on Thursday night. They'll play the winner of Texas Southern and Green Bay. The Herd go thundering on to the final.
Unbelievable college basketball game. This is what the game's all about.
Fans loving it here in Huntington. 80-78. Herd is the final. 28 for John Elmore. And Jake Griffith standing by with Dan D'Antoni.
Here with Coach D'Antoni. Coach, congrats on the win. It got a little hairy there at the end, but you guys mentally tough, able to stay in it.
No, they played well. They coached well and played hard. You know, when you get in a tournament, nobody wants to lose, so everybody plays hard.
Obviously, C.J. Burks had a tough first half, really came alive in the second half. Is that the difference for you guys tonight?
Well, you know, it's just a tournament game, and every possession's important. They played hard, we played hard, and we came out on top.
There were some people that maybe thought, as you mentioned, running the 3K race wouldn't be as enticing to make it to the finals running the 10K race, but you guys are in the championship.
No, listen, you're playing. It's basketball. Have a good time, play as hard as you can play, win a championship. We're on our way. Let's see if we can win one.
Congrats on the win, Coach.
All right, thanks very much, Jake, and great job tonight. And Mike, what a basketball game. 80-78, Marshall is the final, their 22nd win. They move on.
It's April, man. They're playing in the CIT championship. This is what college basketball is all about. Great effort by Hampton. Great win for Marshall. See you Thursday night back here in Huntington, West Virginia. Great job, Dave.
Looking forward to it. Same. Chris Atkins, Ryan Vance, great job. Jake Griffith, for Mike Gillian, Dave Popkin saying so long from the Cam Henderson Center in Huntington, West Virginia. 80-78. Marshall wins it over the Hampton Pirates. Great season for Hampton, but Elmore and the Herd are moving on.